So I just want to thank everybody for listening in. We've got three distinguished people who want to share their side of the story. So go ahead and let's go around and start with Trimaine. Tell us who you are, what you're about, what you've done, and yeah, just give us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, first, I just want to say thanks, Joseph, for putting this all together, man. And I think it's a great idea just to have, a conversation, a real conversation coming from real people, about this topic that affects us all. But I'm Tremaine Davis, Sr. I'm currently working in the CSU system, California State University system as an educator. We're working at Cal State Northridge. Um, Also, big component of community service, community activism, and try my best to make sure that I stay visible in all three of those circles, whether it's education, community service, and community activism.
All right. So Talia,
Talia.
Talia, tell us who you are.
Well, my name is Talia Melton.
Mm-hmm.
I am from Africa, Zambia. So I was born and raised there. I moved to the United States in 2012. So I've been here a little over a year. I'm an artist, fine arts. I do graphic design also. I recently just opened a nonprofit, and we're aiming to help children back home in Zambia. Um, so
Nice,
sad.
nice. All right, Brett, go ahead.
Brett, originally from a small town in Illinois, grew up playing basketball. Met a lot of, good people, but a lot of people that kind of structured and influenced me to kind of think the way that I do think now, being from a very small, closed-minded, conservative town. Played basketball in college, transferred out to the University of San Diego, got me out here, realized the NBA wasn't going to happen, so I started corporate America. Did pretty well with corporate America, moved up, and saw, all these debatable topics from the other end, me being a white male. I've seen things that I think are very interesting, and to say the least, I don't shy away from them. I can address them, which kind of catches people off guard because sometimes people feel a little more comfortable to say things in front of white people, which they wouldn't say in front of other people. So I have a very interesting view on how things in corporate America work, but I by all means don't know it, don't know everything. But recently I just stopped, got out of corporate America to do start my basketball academy
Beautiful.
to help mentor the youth.
Love it.
Just to kind of teach them the whole leadership, positive life, positive thinking, because too much we get kind of, them kids get down on themselves and don't understand the value and opportunities that they have. They don't have to be the NBA guys to make a difference in the world.
Good stuff. Well, a little bit about myself. Graduated high school 2005. Went to South Dakota State University. Got a degree in finance. Graduated from there 2010. Big proponent in the community. I own my own business, a brick and mortar franchise called Instant Imprints. Have rental property. I pretty much try to do it all when I can. It's just a blessing to be able to give back to my community, my church, my city, and I just like to add value in every way, shape, or form possible. All right, so the topic on hand, and what I felt from I go on Facebook, but I don't really post that much. I'm kind of an observer, and what I seen on Facebook was Trimaine made a post, and the buzzword that he used was boycott. Boycott. That's a strong word. Trimaine, I want you to go into more of why you feel the Clippers should boycott their owner.
Well, I think with the statements that was made, and first, let me just acknowledge that I understand that this conversation was supposed to be something that wasn't private. This wasn't like this guy went out, in front of Staples Center with a bullhorn
Uh-huh.
and announced this. So I understand the context of that as well. But with the statements that was made about minorities, so-called minorities, as I like to put it, when he was addressing African Americans or Latinos, and just the history of this owner that I just now come to find out of his, racist acts, I thought the best way to send a strong message was for, the Clippers in that time, the Clipper players. Mind you, the Clippers team is about close to 98% African American. Have a couple of players who are European born and one player who is Caucasian. But also with the coaching staff as well being African American, the training staff, the leader of the training staff also being African American. I thought it would have been a great statement for the players to boycott. And I thought that should have been, the route they took. Now I understand that they did take a stance. They did something as a sign, as a symbolism of protest.
Uh-huh.
And for them, if they felt like that was that, then hey, that's on them. And I feel like also, it was a good symbolic symbol, but I also think it was a symbolic, non-threatening symbol because at the end of the day, they still played the game. The owners still made money from them playing the game.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that a powerful message would have been to boycott the game completely. I think that would have been a very powerful message to make. And so I myself, my personal boycott of it was I no longer support the Clippers.
Okay.
Which is killing me right now because I'm born and raised in the Bay Area. I'm a diehard Warriors fan. So
Uh-huh.
for me not to support the Clippers is also saying that I'm not watching the team that I love, the team that I grew up, since the days of Run TMC, watching, play basketball. But that's okay with me. I'm willing to make that sacrifice as a beloved fan of basketball in the NBA game. I can make that sacrifice and say, you know what, I'm boycotting the Clippers. I no longer will support. And I've been to, Clippers games before, and I just kind of feel like, damn, I wish I can get that money back. But it's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
And until things happen, I'm not supporting that whatsoever. Now, in my boycott, I understand that sometimes, when we get on social media, we say things. Some of us, we have the power to influence people, and I'm not someone who doesn't recognize that I do sometimes have the power to influence people.
Huh?
I made a statement that I was speaking from my personal opinion that this is what I feel should happen, and this is what I'm going to do. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, if you don't feel this way, then whatever, you're a coward or whatever. I don't feel that way, but I'm making a stance. I can only control what I feel, and that's how I feel about that situation. So that's what led me to make that post out.
All right, and we just had a caller join, Monique Christopher. Real quickly, tell us who you are, tell us what you do, and tell us your background and any recognitions or accolades.
Okay, hi.
Hey.
I'm from Los Angeles. I'm born and raised in LA. I run a fashion imprint and image consulting agency out of Los Angeles, and I do fashion styling, visual merchandising, and basically anything involving personal image. And that's about it.
Okay. Well, Brett, you heard Trimaine's side. I wanted to see if how you felt about the situation. Caucasian male, you play basketball, so I know you're around more African Americans because that sport is kind of dominated. It's dominated by the African Americans. And what are your thoughts on it? What would you do if you were a player on the team? And tell me your thoughts on that.
Before I say what my thoughts are as far as like what I would do if I was a player on the team, something that kind of triggered what I thought that Trimaine said was, a comment, about what Doc Rivers had said in regards to, they're still going to play the game. I don't remember the exact words. And, and I started thinking of coaches that I very, highly respect, Coach Bill Self, who was my coach at Illinois, and then someone else that I have a lot of respect for, which is Coach Fisher, which was Trimaine's coach at San Diego State. And I think Trimaine would agree with me in regards to coaching situations outside of this situation, that the coach's number one concern when adversity strikes is to keep calm, because if you start, freaking out, then the players are going to freak out. So I feel like Doc Rivers was doing his job by saying, hey, we have a job to do. We got a game to play. We're obviously there's some distractions, but we cannot let the distractions get to us. I think that if he would have taken a different approach, then heck, a boycott could have came about. But I think that he knew the fragile state and severity of this decision, that I think he really didn't want to have an influence on the players one way or the other, and he kind of wanted to see what they wanted to do. And the decision that they made was the decision that they made, and he didn't have an influence on it. Now, as far as a player goes, I think it's a completely different point of view from a player perspective compared to a fan perspective. These players are in contract with the organization, not just the owner, but they are playing their livelihood. This is how they pay their bills. This is how they feed their children. This is how they do all these things. And I've never been a fighter in my entire life. I think of an example a year ago, 2 years ago. I'm downtown. I walk out of my condo, and a couple, drunk guys look at me, and they're like, "What up, you stupid fucking faggot," or whatever, calling me names. And first of all, I'm not homosexual. If I was, then that's fine. But I looked at them and I just shook my head and kept walking. Yeah. Because it didn't bother me, because I knew the truth. I know where I stand. I'm comfortable with myself. And the whole racism thing, just because one ignorant person said some really stupid things or has some really stupid views, doesn't change the fact that I've lived my entire life playing basketball, doing, getting paid for the game that I love, and I'm not going to let one ignorant person screw up a really special season that I and my teammates have going for me. I think you'd be letting Sterling not win, because he doesn't have an objective, but I think you'd be letting him win by walking away, because it just doesn't. You're not serving a purpose, in my opinion. And it doesn't make a lot of sense in regards to the argument, but I just don't think that it makes one difference. If they boycott or if they don't boycott, they're still going to get rid of him.
You think so?
Absolutely. I think.
Who's going to get rid of him, though?
I try to look at things from a business perspective. And first of all, they'll get rid of him. But let's just say that they don't get rid of him. Yeah. If they don't get rid of him, you're going to lose out on ticket sales. You're going to have sponsorships, endorsements pull out. As soon as you start doing that, you're not just affecting the Clippers and Sterling's pockets. Now you're affecting the NBA's pockets. Oh, yeah. And that's something else that's a no-go. So if they let go of him, which they should do, Sterling, I don't want to say the word coming out on top, but for the sake of a debate, I will say he's still coming out on top, because he's 80 years old. He's lived his life his way. Yeah. He purchased the Clippers for $12.5 million, and he's going to sell it for close to $600 million.
That's a steal, yeah.
And so one ignorant bigot, whatever you want to call him, just made $600 million when he sells it, because that's his organization that he's going to sell. So just because he's racist doesn't mean he doesn't get his money. And that's where I think, I'll stop the debate in that regards. There's a whole lot of other things that I think we can add to it. I don't know if you saw NAACP, or he's getting some sort of award for a Good Samaritan, or a Lifetime Achievement Award.
From the NAACP?
He was supposed to get it in 2 weeks, actually.
He was supposed to get NCAACP or whatever. He was a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I think that I don't even want to speak about that in regards to him. I just want to speak about that in regards to how skewed society is in regards to what good people are doing.
Yeah.
I think people with money are automatically looked at as doing good deeds, when in reality, everybody has dirt and everybody has, stuff in the closet.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
This
I agree with that.
Was that you, Talia?
No, that's
That was Monique.
probably.
Okay, so Monique, let me ask you this question. Say it's Fashion Week, right? You do fashion. It's Fashion Week. Say if the head of the Fashion Week said some racist comment, are you gonna not show your clothes at Fashion Week? I mean, that's the stage. The NBA playoffs is one of the biggest stage a young black kid will ever play at. Would you not put your clothes on the catwalk?
Absolutely not. I would absolutely.
Is that right?
Without hesitation, on a personal level, my connection to that struggle and the things that I've been through wouldn't allow me to put myself in a position to help anybody who feels that way about me and my people.
But that's your dream as a young girl, is to be at Fashion Week. You're gonna give that up because one idiot says some snide comment.
I think that no opportunity is worth my dignity, and there's a million doors to knock on, and there's a million opportunities out there.
Uh-huh.
And I feel that way in regard to the Clippers. I feel like, let's not make this as though it is the last playoffs in the history of the NBA. It isn't. It'll change again in a year. And so I think that they would make more of an impact to stand up and say, hey, this is our dignity. This is what we stand for. We as black men and as a representative, when they took this job, they represent people. They have a job as a role model. And that being said, it would be important for them to say, no, I don't accept this, turning my, shirt inside out or whatever they have done to boycott. If that's enough for them, then good for them.
Uh-huh.
But on a personal level, I couldn't do that. And I think that it's important to realize it isn't that big. It's an inconvenience. And the worst thing that could have possibly happened to these players is the NBA were to fine them for not playing. But the NBA would have looked horrible had they not sided with the players if they had decided to boycott.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's important also for us not to just put the spotlight on the players, and to also realize that the people that patronize the game, they're making money for the owner. The merchandising does not go to the players. None of that goes to the players. The merchandising, ticket sales, advertising, all of these things that are in connection with the Clippers goes to the owner. So,
the players get a percentage of that.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected. But still, even so, it's the majority of that is going to the owner. And based on his own words, he doesn't want us as a people to patronize his games. He doesn't want them to come to the stadium. He doesn't want their money.
Uh-huh.
So why give it to him? Why allow that? I think that it's easy to say that when you're in a private conversation. I don't even want them to come to the games.
Yeah.
I don't want them there, But really, if we were to really stand up and show him what that means to his bottom line, then he would probably change his tune, if not publicly, in private, to understand that Los Angeles has a huge population of minorities.
Uh-huh.
And to disrespect the people who support your team more than anybody is ridiculous. And that goes across any business. There's no business that you can have the people who are creating your revenue and go, I don't like you guys. Now, you can work here. You can work in my establishment. You can work at my McDonald's or my store, and that's fine. But you don't come in here and spend your money here. That's the most ridiculous thing from a business perspective.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So excuse my verbiage. I'm from Africa, so I'll probably speak a little different. My take on it is we've become so political as a race. Everything is politics. We've forgotten the fundamentals of being human.
Uh-huh.
because he did this, so now we're all going to boycott. We're not going to go to the game. We're not going to do this. Clippers and everybody who works for him have nothing to do with that statement. That statement was made by him. Did they know that he was racist? Maybe they did. Did he show it to them? Probably not. So he says these things to this whore, gold digging whore.
Yeah.
She chooses to record him. And now mind you, there's a private dialogue. Everybody has a private dialogue, and there's no saint.
Yeah.
There's obviously somebody that said some racist stuff in their home, in the privacy of their own home. He was caught. Too bad for him. Well, good, because now we know what he stands for. But my thing is, why must everybody else suffer because some guy is corrupt and some guy is racist? Yes, he owns the Clippers, but he doesn't own the players. He just owns the organization. For me, it will be fine if they just take him out. Let the Clippers be run by somebody who's more dignified. I think that will be fine. This whole thing, we're not going to go, we're not going to do this as a race, or us, we're going to stand up as black people. Just get rid of the disease, take it out.
Yeah.
He said something bad, he doesn't have dignity. That's him. That's not the Clippers, that's not the coaches, that's not everybody else that works for him. It's unfortunate that they work for him.
Yeah. All right, Trimaine, I'm going to preface the question this way. So he's the owner of the Clippers. I'm an owner of a business as well. If somebody stopped patronizing my business, my employees would go to the pot, meaning they would lose their jobs. It's a ripple effect. So if we boycott the Clippers, how many of our people would lose their jobs? How many people would be back on the street? Just think if we boycotted the Warriors. How many people do we know in Oakland that have an aunt or an uncle that does security at the Warrior Stadium? Pretty decent amount, probably. So can you answer, is there a way that you can see getting the guy out of there and not really hurting the actual business model? Because business does drive America. I mean, he is a businessman. So should we stop his business, or how can we just stop him?
Well, I think there are two things to consider. We're talking about the Clippers, and then we talk about the folks who work at Staples Center. Sterling does not own Staples Center. The people that we see out in the parking lot with the security, giving the tickets to the game, the folks who sell the popcorn and all these things, they work for Staples Center. They don't work for the Clippers. If you go to a Clippers game on one night, you see these folks out there, they're doing their job. Well, the next night you go to a Laker game, if you got it like that, right? You go to a Laker game, it's the same folks out there. It's the same folks selling you the popcorn. So I think, we have to keep that in mind. Now, I understand that there are some front, office folks, VPs of market for the Clippers, folks who do outreach for the Clippers, so on and so forth. I believe that the league will make sure that they are taken care of. The main thing is to chop this disease, as we've already heard, put off at the head, and that is with Sterling. So we can still attack him without hurting the lives of those who work at Staples Center. Those folks who work for the Clippers. It's not necessarily, saying like all these people got to go, all these people are racist. That's not the case. The fact of the matter is the owner that has to go. And I think, with a boycott, with people not showing up to the games, as we hear now, there's a lot of sponsors who are now pulling away from this guy. This is starting to hurt him. The NBA will make sure that the NBA brand still moves on, and the people that help this brand, help the Clippers get to from $12.5 million to over close to $1 billion, or those folks will still be okay. But we got to take care of this issue with this man, with this gentleman. And I think that the NBA is wise enough to see the difference. And it's also important for us to recognize that difference as well, is that there's a massive difference between the Clippers, who Sterling owns, versus the building that they play in, which is owned by Staples Center, who has a completely different owner.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
I was gonna, Trimaine. You know me better than anybody else on this line other than Talia.
Yeah.
Growing up, all my friends were black. I've always dated black women. I married someone who has African blood in her. Very, very unracist. But I'm very not racist at all in the slightest. But I wanted to ask you, Trimaine, what is your thought? Like, I think the guy is a racist bigot, 100% racist. But what do you think about his comment when he said, I love black people. I don't have a problem with black people. I love them. They can come to the games. I just don't want you to bring them to the games. In my opinion, taking the whole, severity of the racism out of it, I think that, and I'm creating a story in my own head, but I think that his girlfriend, first of all, he has no integrity if he's an 80-year-old man dating a 25-year-old woman.
Yeah.
For one. But, so that shows the quality of the person that he is, for one. But two, I think the fact that he was saying, I love black people, I don't have a problem with them, just don't bring them to the games. The story that I was painting in my head was that she was screwing a bunch of black dudes under his dime and bringing them to the game. And he got pissed because he was basically saying, screw them if you want, hang out with them if you want, but don't do it on my dollar and don't do it at my house.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of felt like it was. And as soon as he kind of called her out on that, it started escalating. And if you followed the situation, which we all are, she's involved in a lawsuit from the family, and she made the comment that I will get even with you. So it was like,
wow.
If and you listen to the tape, she knows she's setting him up. She knows that she's a gold digging whore. You add that with the fact that then she adds, is there anything I can do to make you feel better, baby? It's like, really, that's the epitome of a gold digger, because she knows she's setting you up, but at the same time she's like, oh, is there anything I can do? Can I make you some hot tea, baby?
We are in a soundbite culture. We all seen and heard on the headlines, don't bring black people. Magic Johnson, right? That's what we all heard. But if you listen to it deeper, because come on, let's all nod our heads and we all have that black friend that you can't take nowhere, right? That person that you don't want to go into a certain situation with. They might not know how to dress, might not know how to act or hold themselves. That's what I felt like he was coming from. Like, hey, that's my dollar you're living off of. So don't be bringing those types of people in this situation. And it's funny, Brett, you made a good point. I'm gonna get even with you.
And he even said multiple times, all you want to do is fight. Don't fight with me. I don't want to talk about this. Like, you're always trying to fight with me. And I think he was trying to avoid the topic, but she knew she was recording him, so she kept pressing the issue until he just got fed up and was just like, don't bring them to the game. Now, that doesn't take away the fact that he's racist. I do think he's racist. But to take a white perspective about it, and that's not even the right way to say it. I have a very old relative in my family who comes from a white town of like 50 people. And some of the things that she says, I don't think is racist. It's just she's naive and she's ignorant. You know what I mean? Like when LeBron James signed his $100 million contract when he was a rookie, she said, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. Does he still have it, or did he spend it all on drugs and alcohol? And she just doesn't know better, and she says, black people don't love their family. Well, go talk to a black person and say something about their mama and see what happens. She just didn't understand. And it wasn't she was racist. She just didn't know better. She'd never been around black people before. And Donald Sterling was raised a certain way, and he knew better than to say it publicly. But this woman caught him saying something privately. And, you know, like Talia said, we've all said things privately that if we were multi-billionaires and in the spotlight 100% of the time, stuff would come out that we said.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Like, nobody, and I look at it from the humanitarian part of it. We all make mistakes. I'm not excusing his mistake. It's a terrible thing to say. It's a terrible thing to believe. You know, to speak about people as though they're not people. That's just, you know, horrible. I'm mixed. My dad, white, blue eyes, everything white. My mom, dark African. So I, you know, embrace both sides. And just the whole thing of having white and black, and then here, especially in the United States, and that's what I was telling Trimaine yesterday, is that here, more so in the United States, that division is so big. It's like Black Americans, everything has to be Black American this, Black African American this, African American that, African American awareness or something. I'm like, why do we continually have to prove ourselves? Because for me, proving myself means that I feel inferior, and guess what? I need to prove to you that I'm on the same level as you are. But I don't feel inferior. I feel I'm on the same level. I don't need to prove to you shit. There's nothing I need to prove to you. So I feel that having all this Black awareness and Black meetings and whatnot, that just heightens it. It just keeps that divide. It keeps telling people that, guess what? We're Black and there's white, and we're gonna try and prove ourselves. And like, stop proving. Stop trying to prove yourself. There's nothing to prove. We're here. This is the home. Our home was stolen. You guys' home, because I'm African. You guys' home was stolen away from you. You guys were brought here. This is your home now. Where do you go? You can't go back. How do you go back? Things have changed. So this is your home. Embrace it. And stop proving yourselves, because the more you prove yourselves, the more you show them that you are different. You don't belong here, and the more you show that inferiority. That's in my opinion when it comes to race. But I mean, with this Sterling thing, he messed up big time, and obviously he didn't want to do that in public. But that's the type of person he is. There's racists everywhere. We just don't see them. There's racists in the NBA, black, white, yellow, green. They're there. We just don't see them. That's why I keep going back to the fundamentals of teach love. Teach them something different. Show them something different. Don't blow it out of proportion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Show that other side. Okay, you know what? We can forgive. And I kept on quoting Nelson Mandela, because what he did, there's nobody that's done that. And South Africa right now, black, white, Indian, Chinese, anybody, they're so incorporated. The flag is green, yellow, blue. There's so many colors, because after he left prison, he came out of prison and he said, you know what? You did all these things to my people, and apartheid, I'm sure Trimaine knows, because he's done a lot of studies on Africa. Apartheid was terrible. It was terrible. Slavery at its utmost, just horror. And he came out. They arrested him for trying to free his people. I'm sorry. He spent 27 years in prison. He came out of prison, and guess what? He was like, "You're my people. We can work together. Let's find a way to work together." And he showed them that love, and that love made them question themselves. You know, like they thought to themselves, like, you know what, guess what, we were wrong. And from there onwards, they've been trying to mend it, and right now South Africa is living in good peace. And I'm not saying everything is perfect, because racists are still there, But guess what? We embrace that forgiveness. And I wish the same for the United States, to just, when something like this happens, we're already kind of together, white people and black people in the United States together. Let's not start setting black apart and saying, oh, African Americans were offended because of this. Everybody, it's an offensive thing to every single one. African American, white, Mexican, everybody should be offended by it. And then together, what can we do to change this? You know what I mean? As opposed to, oh, us black Americans, we're going to do this. And I understand you have to be proud of your heritage. Yes, be proud of your heritage, but don't let that pride separate. And I feel that's what's happening. The pride is building the separation. And with that, it's going to keep going. What are you going to teach your kids? Every time one person says a statement, a racist statement, do you know what you do? You're going to protest and you're going to do this, and it's going to keep going and it's going to keep going. But if you teach your son, white and black, to say if something like this happens, there are people that are like that. And if something like that happens, just, talk in a civilized manner. Let them feel that love. Let them feel that, you know what, we're sorry you feel that way, but we're not going to dance to your tune. We're not going to dance to your tune. We're not going to do things just because you said this about black people. We're not going to jump, because they just, racists want you to react. And if we react, we're giving it power.
All right.
That's what I think.
May I say a couple of things, please?
Go ahead.
Sir.
Yes.
Well, first off, let me say that I understand that you have a completely different perspective due to where you were born and your life experiences. And it allows you to have a privilege to look at things from a different lens. And so I understand that, and I respect that. And I understand what you're trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it is not that simple. And I also, I'm a bit alarmed by some of the things that you say. I think it's very important, if you're going to identify as someone who has a humanistic view, please don't separate yourself from us, because that's not a humanistic view. And I'm not attacking you on that, but I just want you to understand how it comes off. It sounds like you're separating yourself from me. And if you're going to have a human approach to it, then we should be in this together. That's one thing that's alarming to me. And I know you don't mean it like that, but I'm just telling you how it comes off.
Of course.
You know what I mean? I know you don't mean it at all, but I'm telling you how it comes off. The other aspect is that racism is a massive problem. The big difference between America and South Africa is this. South Africa owned their wrongdoing with apartheid. They owned it. It wasn't like, this happened, get over it, move on. That slavery happened, apartheid happened, Mandela's in office, move on. They owned it. Uh-huh. And so by owning it, it allowed people to see that humanistic approach to what you're talking about, which allowed for the healing to take place, which allowed for things to become more better than what they were during that time period. Now, today in South Africa, there are a lot of issues, and some of the issues are very subliminal. It's very on a microaggression. There's a massive campaign right now in South Africa for skin bleaching cream. Oh, yeah. To make your skin lighter, right? Right. This is a massive movement. Well, why is that? And so it's things more on that notion. Here in America has yet to own the wrongdoings of slavery. Out of all of the quote unquote, once again, so-called minority groups who have experienced things and who have maintained reparations or awarded certain things because of the wrongdoing, African Americans have yet to receive anything. So the issue is much more deeper than what we're trying to make it, or what our perspectives will allow us to do. And so that becomes the biggest challenge. I don't feel inferior to anyone. Maybe some of that has to do with me being 6'8". I don't know, but I don't feel inferior. I don't feel inferior to anyone. But I understand that there is a massive push, not for me to necessarily prove myself, but for me to continue the work of those of my ancestors and pick up where they started from. It would be in vain. It would be completely in vain not to push the agenda of our people, of African Americans.
I hear you, Trimaine, and you know what?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, and
Yeah.
I'll apologize for sounding as though I'm separating myself. I think what I'm trying to do is just to kind of, because I'm not from here, so I'm trying to just relay the message so that you understand that where I'm from, this is how we do it. But I mean, you're African, I am African.
Like I said before, I appreciate your perspective because it's a very interesting perspective, and there's space and room for that.
Right.
But I would like for you to understand this perspective.
I understand your perspective.
You have to. It goes back a very long time. This whole system that we're looking into still has rules and regulations that was based on a system that was built from the enslavement of African people. And so it's going to take a great challenge. It's going to take a great push for us to get to that point to where we all can start to heal and we all can become one massive
America. What you're trying to get to is maybe make me understand what point that is. You keep on pushing to get, what's the ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal is to get that acknowledgement
from the white.
It's just to get that right from this system, to get that acknowledgement. That's something that's been the master. That's what the civil rights movement was about. That's the things that we continue to fight for, and we have yet to get that. But back to comment that Brett, you made about what is my take? And one thing I want to say is that I don't necessarily think that this woman, right, because she's changed her aliases so many times. I don't think she deserves any credit whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like, she knew who she was and what was her worth, and she played this dude for what it is, and she caught this guy red-handed. You know what I mean?
Is the public trying to make her a hero?
No. Okay. Well, I hope not.
Okay,
I
didn't see that.
You know what I mean? I hope that's not the. God damn! Like if we got to that point, then basketball wise, they won. Love and Hip Hop won. If we got to that point, they won. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is this. When he was talking about well, I love black people. Of course you do, bro, because they made you wealthy.
Right.
He means that he loves what they do for him. But don't you dare put these people on my level. There is a culture of hierarchy here. You start talking about you don't understand the culture that you're in. You don't understand the world that you're in. Not necessarily she don't understand the globe. She don't understand his world. She don't understand the world that allows a certain hierarchy for white people that have all this money. And don't you dare put someone who is not of us on this level. I don't give a damn if it is Magic Johnson, right? Because the picture in which they were talking about was this picture of Magic Johnson. It wasn't like she was talking about Clipper Darrell. She's talking about Magic Johnson.
Right.
So it's like, damn, Magic, man, you turning away Magic? Damn. So, I think that's where the real issue comes into play. But yeah, of course he has this. Of course he has love because they made him what he is now as far as his wealth coming from the Clippers. Also we can't underline the history that this man has from discrimination cases, from owning different apartment complexes and housing complexes and so on and so forth. So there's a great deal of racist acts that this man has possessed. So, I think a lot of the outrage is coming from that aspect. A lot of the outrage is also coming from like, damn, well, we didn't know. Well, why didn't we know? So there's a lot of emotions that is tied up in it. But at the end of the day, man, this dude got to go.
All
Yes,
right.
I agree.
All right. So we passed up the 45-minute mark, and let's we don't want it to get too long. I mean, we're all smart. We can get our points off pretty quickly. Let's all go around and say what action we can take to either rectify the situation or change the thought process of the people who are in an uproar. So go ahead, Monique.
I mean, on a personal level, I refuse to patronize or support anything that the Clippers are doing, as long as that man is the owner and will benefit from anything that they're doing. And that's hard for me because, like I said, I'm from here. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. This is my hometown. And although I'm a Laker fan, I am also have been always a Clipper fan as well, because I believe in hometown pride. And so I don't believe that there should be any type of patronage to him. I don't want him to benefit from me or anyone. I refuse. And I think that it's very important as a whole that we understand that at the end of the day, what we're saying is so important is entertainment. Basketball, the NBA, it's entertainment. And we're in a society currently where we value entertainment and we're putting it on a level of dignity, integrity, and respect. And that, to me, is not ever going to be okay. And regardless of if they were said in private and it was illegally obtained, because at the end of the day, the recording is illegal. You cannot record someone without their knowledge, period, point blank. But regardless of that, that is how that man feels. Regardless of if it was said because it came from an insecurity, whatever it is, those are his true feelings. And he employs Black people because they make him money. And he doesn't want them living in his establishments. I'm sorry. He doesn't want them living in his residences. He doesn't want them coming to his games. He doesn't want you sitting at his table. He doesn't see them as a human being as he is. And I cannot support that. And I don't think that any of us should support anything like that. And I don't plan to tell anyone what to do. But when you see someone who is doing something that is so wrong, how do you turn your back and walk away? That's not going to fix anything. That will never fix the problem. And what we've been taught by people like Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, us boycotting or anyone boycotting is the most peaceful, nonviolent way to say we do not agree and we will not stand down. And I believe that that's what needs to be done. Championships, all that stuff, come and go. But your dignity and your integrity and the respect for your people as a role model, as a regular person who goes to a Clipper game, it shouldn't be compromised.
Okay, quick question. Do you think the Clippers were cowards for playing in that game or for continuing to play?
Coward is a very strong word.
That's the headline.
Especially in our community, that's a very powerful word.
I would not say they are cowards. I would say they were attempting to be diplomatic. And another thing is they're contracted athletes. And I know people that play in the NBA. And we don't know what is in that contract. We don't know what it is they are allowed to say without it coming off as a problem in their contract.
That's true.
There's a lot of moral obligations in those contracts. There's a lot of organizational things that are in there where they can't speak against it, and that can be a problem for them. So again, do I think that I personally wouldn't have done that. I would have very much liked to see them say, you know what, forget it. We're not going to do this. But I think they took an easier route, as a group than they could have. But I would not say they're cowards. I wouldn't say that. Okay. I would say I don't agree with it and that they could have done more, but I'm happy that they did something because they didn't have to do anything. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right, Brett, where do we go next? What do you see is going to happen with the owner? What do you think the Clippers should have done?
The owner is gone. Now, in regards to me supporting, I'll leave my comment like this. People ask me who my favorite team is. I don't have a favorite team. There's a lot of people that I grew up playing basketball with, such as, Dwayne Wade, Karan Butler, J.J. Redick, Chris Paul, those guys. And since high school, I have supported people that I played against and felt like I have a common bond with. I mean, I'm not friends with Chris Paul, but played against him a couple times. I'd like to see him do well, stuff like that. And I don't think because of one bigot, racist person, I should be unsupportive of Chris Paul. Chris Paul didn't do anything wrong. Chris Paul has a good heart. He's a good guy. He's got got a family that he wants to take care of, and I support him for that. I kind of like what Monique said. I'm glad they did something. I think that they took the easy road. I don't think they could have boycotted and it would have been extreme, or they could have done nothing and it would have been extreme. And I think they kind of met in the middle to make a statement, but at the same time not be over the top where they could have had consequences.
Okay. Chris Paul is the head of the players union, so he's like the head honcho spokesperson for the players. Are you happy with his reaction to it or his non-reaction?
Honestly, I looked at it from a perspective where he knows that something is going to happen, but they're not going to jump the gun. It's like, let's just let the emotions die down and we'll handle it the way we need to handle it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing to me, is the fact that, like, you listen to like what Jalen Rose said, like, this is not a Los Angeles Clippers thing. Like, this is an NBA thing.
Yeah.
Once the season is over, and I'm not even talking about championship, but once it's done, the players are going to unite. The players are going to stand up. The 30 owners of the NBA are going to say, how in the hell did this guy get past all these screenings? Like, why did we allow this to happen? Why did we allow to give this guy a seat at our table? Like, we need to look at what our process is on who we are allowed to own organizations and that type of thing. So this is not a Clippers thing. This is an NBA thing. This is a black eye on the NBA.
Yeah.
This is a black eye on professional sports in general. So I don't look at it as the Clippers should boycott. If anybody should boycott, they should boycott every single game from here on out, period, of the team, regardless of the team.
Yeah, fair enough. Go ahead. Talia, I think you're going to chime in.
Yeah, my thing is they stood up for it. It wasn't as dramatic, and thank God, because I don't believe in dramatics. I think boycotting would have been taking it too far, and no disrespect to what Monique said or Brett or anybody. I just don't like over dramatizing it. And it's not that I'm undermining the situation. I know racism is bad. I just don't like over dramatizing. Give him what's due to him. Get rid of him. If they get rid of him, I'm good. If they don't get rid of him, then yeah, there's a problem there. But I trust that the NBA don't want to lose their money, they don't want to lose their dignity, and they certainly don't want to lose their fans. So I trust that they're going to do the right thing and get rid of him. If they don't get rid of him, then we can boycott, then we can rally, then we can do all that stuff. But for now, I just feel let's keep keeping on. You know what I mean? He's done wrong. We know he's done wrong. There's no need for us to blow it out of proportion. This is TV, this is entertainment, and as Monique said, it can't go against dignity. And the same people that taught dignity and that taught integrity also taught forgiveness and looking at people with compassion and understanding that people are ignorant and trying to educate them with love and trying to just sort the situation with the utmost compassion. And that's what I stand for. And putting too much drama and emphasis on it escalates the situation. Dealing with it diligently, he's done wrong, get him out, figure out somebody else should lead the Clippers. If they need to change the name because this name was given by a racist, do that. Because there are people who look up to Chris Paul. I don't know much about basketball, but there are people that look up to people that play in that team and people who lead that team. So why take that away from them because one guy, because he has money. Had it been a poor guy who said, I don't want anybody, I hate white people, nobody would even pay attention. But the fact that there's money involved, everybody is looking at it. And I just feel like they should do what needs to be done. Get rid of him. And if that's not done, then we have reason to, over dramatize it.
All right. Go ahead, Trimaine.
I mean, do I really got to answer this question?
No, not really. Really. Go ahead.
Let me say, I definitely feel that they definitely should have boycotted the game. That's just my personal. I know I would have boycotted. I would have grabbed the microphone right in front of Oracle Arena. I would have got the microphone from Steph Curry and said, listen, Oakland, we love y'all. We love what we do, but we're not playing this game. And I would explain the reasons why. Personally, I've already taken stance before. I had an IG post today that said, I protest and set out for much less, and I have. There's games that I missed in college. There are practices that I missed in college for protest. So, I really feel like, and it's maybe because of my tutelage, because of my schooling. My heroes, my sport heroes were Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Jim Brown, Bill Russell, Arthur Ashe. Those are the people that made me fall in love with sport. These were men who were great in their sport, but regardless of how great of an athlete they were also better men. They had a social consciousness. So I come from that standpoint of having a social consciousness. And I just feel that I wish that era, that tutelage could have been passed on to these players. The tutelage that these players got is the want to be like Mike. And, Mike was about money. The most infamous Michael Jordan quote ever was, Republicans have to buy sneakers too. And I encourage everyone to go look that up to understand the
what was that?
Where he's coming from. Republicans have to buy sneakers too.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I never wore Barry J.
But this is the tutelage which these athletes today come from. They don't come from Jim Brown. They don't come from Tommy Smith or John Carlos. So are they cowards? What the definition of cowards is, something along the lines of you lack the courage to act in times of danger. And I didn't see the game. I didn't watch the game. So I don't necessarily know, what they did, but I will say that for the fact that they did not boycott, there's definitely some cowardness there. I will say that.
Okay. All right. Well, we got it here. Everybody go around and tell us where we can find more about you guys as a person at, like Twitters, Instagrams, Facebooks. If you have a blog or website, go ahead and shout that out. Let's go ahead and start with Monique.
I have a website, and all of my social networking is all the same. It's all Labella Hustler.
Okay.
So that I can be found there or at labellahustler.com.
All right. Trimaine, what's yours?
For the Facebook, it's the government, Trimaine Davis. IG is RBG Maine Zulu. Twitter is Maine Zulu. And once again, Joseph, I want to say, brother, thank you for putting this together, man. I think it's a great dialect, and I appreciate everyone and love everyone. And, definitely I've learned something new tonight. So like always, it's always good food for thought when we can get like-minded folks that have slightly different opinions to come together. So thank you, brother.
Oh yeah. So go ahead, Brett.
Mine's simple. I don't have all the extra wordage to it. Mine's just Instagram bmelt00, Facebook is Brett Melton, and you can always go to my website allnetbrett.com.
All right.
Great website, by the way, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, my information is Talia. Is Facebook Talia Hayward, Instagram Talia Hayward.